For Tauranga, it's been quite a journey. My history with it dates a process that I saw culminated 2 weeks ago today, where our council took a bold step, and it's been moved, motioned, everything. There's a piece of land that has been very controversial. In fact, in the late 80s, one particular man stormed it and occupied it and destroyed lots of it, but made an incredible statement, media, various things. And the consequences of that was that this piece of land, which the council owned, made certain agreements. And so the problem has been that those agreements have not been kept. And it's a track record that goes way back in the history of our founding of our city. And there's primarily three parties. You have the Maori, who had the Tauranga Peninsula, was 1,330 acres. And they gifted it to the missions to hold it in their mind for purposes that would be for educational, for Maori, for spiritual purposes and things. And so it was an entrustment that if there ever came a time where the land would not be used for those purposes, it would be gifted back or brought back into Maori ownership again. And that was how they understood it. That's how it was communicated. So when the government back in the 1860s, around 1864 in time frames, put enormous pressure upon the church, the mission station, Alfred Brown, to take and gift or to sign a deed of ownership over to the government. It was considered hugely illegal, and by standard of law and practice, it was not a legal transaction. And so consequent, there was that betrayal of trust by the church. You have that sort of thing. And then the government not primarily keeping its word, whether it was the old back in the 1800s or up into the present day. So 2 weeks ago, culminating from a very bold step that the Anglican Church did from an agreement with their synods throughout the country to profusely and apologize to the two main iwi who have mana whenua over the Tauranga Peninsula, asking forgiveness for the illegal gifting of the land to the government. The local council now has joined in that apology as of 2 weeks ago, and then have moved with the trust that holds the last little remnant piece. They're stewards over the one last piece that was not gifted away. 4/5 was given away. And they've got an accord, an agreement, and in co-governance and co-ownership and co-partnering and co-working and co-designing what they call the heart of the city. Now, we pastors began to pray, God, we need a new heart in our city. We need a transplant. We need, God, you to do something powerful in our city, because the heart of our city is sick. So 2 years ago, the then mayor at the time, before the controversy of things caught up with him, he resigned. His name was Tenby. He invited us pastors to come right into the council building, right into the council chambers, and to pray. And we did. And God brought a prophetic word through one of the pastors and said, there is a tapu on this land. There's a curse. There is a broken promises, and there is immense offense and hurt that is resident on this piece of land. The consequences of that is that a man named Dr. Alistair Rees, who wrote a thesis, he earned his doctorate doing this work of research on this whole process, and the Maori's name for the confiscation of their land and the gifting of it away was called Naboth's Vineyard, out of the story of Ahab trying to get a piece of real estate that Jezebel, his wife, manipulated and confiscated it. for evil purposes. And so this was the backdrop that, so here's the council, they're listening intently as Dr. Alistair gives gives the history, and then they acknowledge him and say it's his work that's primarily driven this whole process, of whether it's been the church from the Anglican side or the council on their side, to work with Maori locally to see if we can, and the one word that was way off to the side that was never used in any process is now front and center. It's called reconciliation. The council use it freely. Everybody uses it freely, and it's the result of incredible hard work that's culminated. So the two things that we need you to pray is we need you to pray for the governing, because they've had to now throw it open to public for 2 months. It's public, open to public debate. That God would cover this time frame, and that what has been done honorably and with integrity would prevail. And that the church, the wider church, there's a lot of people that don't understand this. And consequently, there's times when through misunderstanding or a lack of understanding can speak something out and it's not be accurate. It wouldn't be in line with the heart of God in this process of reconciliation to heal the heart of our city. So that's as best I can describe you of 27 years worth of my involvement in working with it, and then seeing how many hundreds of years, 150 plus years of waiting very patiently by the Maori for the church to apologize, and then the government to admit it, and then come to the table and in co-governance work something out that will be a benefit to everybody. So that's it. Pray for the church and pray for the government and this process that's going on publicly right now.